Early in the morning, when it was still dark. Early on the first day of the week, when it was still dark. It was still dark. The resurrection, just like the incarnation, happens in the darkness of night. The resurrection, just like the incarnation, the birth of Jesus, happens unnoticed, almost unseen, in the dark of the night. The resurrection takes place. No loud announcements, no great big fanfares, no, quietly in the night, God raises Jesus from the dead. Quietly in the night, God raises Jesus from the dead. Fanfares are for empires. Noise are for empires. Get yourself noticed. Show what you are doing. Make an impact are for empires. Whether that's invasions, sanctions, bombs, trying to keep people out are for empires. Announcements are for empires. God works in the silence of the night, bringing his hope and his truth. Not from great big palaces and noise, but who is chosen to say that Christ is risen? Mary Magdalene, a woman who is often being despised. Mary Magdalene is the one who God chooses to take the message to the disciples that Christ has risen. This beautiful passage of Mary in the garden weeping. She doesn't know that the resurrection has taken place. She is weeping because the body of her Lord has been taken away. Not only has he died, but they've taken away his body. Where have they laid him? Where have they taken him? Even the final thing of the burial rites have been taken away from me. She is weeping. She is weeping. She is lamenting. But she stays in that place of pain. The other disciples run home. But she stays in the garden, in her tears, in her lamentation, and in that place, Jesus comes to her. And she doesn't even realize something has happened when she sees the angels. But then when Jesus appears, and she thinks he's the gardener, she doesn't even identify him. But then what does he do? He names her. He names her. He says, Mary. And in the name that he calls her, her name, she realizes it is him. I know your name. I know your name. Just as God knows all our names and calls our names too. Just as he calls Mary's name at the point of resurrection, Jesus calls his name, our name, to each one of us, to raise us from despair and hopelessness to proclamation. Because she is given the task. It is a woman who is given the task to go and tell the disciples she is the first apostle. She is the first proclaimer of the gospel. He is risen. She goes to the disciples and says, he is risen. God chooses a woman in the ancient world whose voices you wouldn't even recognize as having a validity. But God decides that kind of message is to be shared. That's a powerful message for us. That's a actually that God chooses a woman to proclaim the truth that Christ is risen. Not a prince, but an ordinary Jewish girl is given the task of proclaiming the resurrection. And in Acts, the Acts reading we have where Peter has been wrestling with this whole question of whether the gospel is now meant to spread to the Gentiles. He wrestled with that and left Peter the fisherman, who said he would stand by Jesus and then denied him 3 times. Who felt so ashamed about it that actually Jesus had to say to him, ask him 3 times if he loved him, and to tell him and to commission him that he was evil. Peter, barely literate fisherman from Galilee, is the one who leads the people and speaks powerfully through Acts into the world, challenging the high priests and the religious authorities and the Roman authorities. This man who ran away scared, denied Jesus 3 times. Now through the resurrection of the Holy Spirit and Pentecost, we becomes a proclaimer of the word. And that's the truth for all of us. We were all called, as Christians, to become Marys and Peters. Whatever the world says about us, whatever the devil in the world we are being placed, whatever society seeks to say about us, we have a commission. The most important commission that has ever been given. To preach Christ crucified and risen. To give hope to the world, to resign, to speak that hope which is spoken of in Isaiah, that beautiful image, that wonderful image, with a lion will lie down with the lamb. That beautiful image where the old will live to be old age, when no one will go wanting. That beautiful image in Isaiah is what Jesus carries. That beautiful image in Isaiah is what we are called to proclaim. As we proclaim Christ crucified and risen. Because we are called to join in. We are called to join in as Christians that revolution of love. That revolution of love which is the Easter message. And those who want to be baptized here this morning are joining in with that revolution of love. That's how the world will be transformed, not by sanctions, not by bonds, not by wars, but by Jesus in Christ's revolutionary love. That's how we change the world. And when we look across this room, a wonderful collection of those of us in this room. But there are barely 100 of us here. In fact, but Jesus doesn't call us to that task. He calls us to get up from here today and to go in our lives to try and show the signs of that revolution of love. And those signs are signs that we are called to live in our daily lives. To do little things with great love. It's what Mother Teresa said is the revolution of God. To do little things with great love. And we can all do that, and we are all called to that as baptized Christians. So as we baptize these 4 this morning, that's the calling that they are taking on. To embrace the beauty of God's message that is there in the Bible, that hope that the world will eventually be transformed into God's kingdom. And that our task is to join in the work of participating in that transformation by seeking to be people of love here amongst each other and there out in the world, joining with others who also can take that sense of hope as we once more take into ourselves the body and blood of our Lord Jesus Christ, to inspire us, to encourage us, to be people of that revolutionary love. And we support our brother and sisters this morning who are being baptized, who seek to join us in that struggle, in that hope that Christ offers us, the hope of transformation, the hope of a world in which the lion does lie down in the lamb, where the aged do live a full life, where no one goes in need. We can help to create that in little bits and pieces here and now amongst us and in our help and our work in the community. But we are strengthened by the hope that there will be a transformation, that Christ will come again and will transform this world into God's kingdom. Heaven and earth will be united because Christ is risen, and he is risen indeed. Hallelujah.